Have you ever been told you're weird? That you do things other people don't understand? That something about the way you think just feels off to everyone around you? Here's the twist nobody told you. The things that make you look strange, procrastinating into the last minute, forgetting people's names, talking to yourself, zoning out mid-conversation, those aren't flaws. Researchers keep finding the same thing. They're signatures of a brain running on a higher setting. In this video, I'm going to show you 7 things that highly intelligent people do that seem completely weird from the outside. And the last 2? Those are the ones that will probably make you sit back and go, wait, that's actually me. Stay until the end, because number 7 is the one most intelligent people never realize they're doing. Here's the problem. Society has one picture of what smart looks like. Neat desk, fast answers, perfect memory, calm under pressure, always on time. But that picture is wrong. Studies on high IQ individuals consistently show something uncomfortable. Their behaviors look, from the outside, like laziness, rudeness, or even immaturity. The neuroscience tells a different story. What looks weird is often the brain using its resources more efficiently, not less. So if you've been apologizing for being the strange one your whole life, stop. Because by the end of this video, you're going to see those habits for what they really are. Evolutionary advantages in disguise. Let's get into it. Number 1, highly intelligent people procrastinate, and not a little. They wait until the pressure is real, the deadline is close, and everyone around them is panicking. From the outside, this looks like laziness, like they don't care, like they're going to crash and burn. But here's what's actually happening inside their head. A high-processing brain doesn't jump to the first solution. It lets options simmer. It runs background comparisons. It's doing what psychologists call incubation, letting ideas mature in the subconscious while the conscious mind does something else. Adam Grant's research at Wharton found that moderate procrastinators were significantly more creative than people who started immediately. Starting fast feels productive. But starting fast often means locking in the first mediocre idea your brain serves you. Intelligent people resist that. They wait. They let the better idea surface. And when they finally move, they move fast, because the thinking was already done. So if you procrastinate and then suddenly execute brilliantly at the last minute, that's not a flaw. That's a filtering process most brains can't run. Number 2. They forget people's names, sometimes faces, sometimes entire conversations. And everyone around them takes it personally. You don't care about me. You weren't listening. How could you forget? But here's the thing. Memory isn't a storage problem. It's a priority problem. Your brain has a limited amount of bandwidth, and it's constantly deciding what's worth holding on to and what can be flushed. A highly processing brain is ruthless about this. It doesn't waste energy memorizing surface information. It prioritizes concepts, patterns, ideas, the stuff that actually builds understanding. Names and small talk get dropped because to that brain, they're noise. It's not disrespect, it's compression. It's the same reason a chess grandmaster can remember 10,000 game positions but can't remember where they put their keys. The brain is allocated elsewhere. If you're someone who forgets names but remembers exactly what someone said 3 years ago that changed how you see the world, that's not a bad memory. That's a targeted one. Sign 3. They talk to themselves. Out loud. In public sometimes. And they don't care who hears it. Here's the weird part. Science has been saying for years that self-talk isn't a symptom of something broken. It's a symptom of something working really well. A 2012 study published in the Quarterly Journal of Experimental Psychology found that talking to yourself improves focus, problem solving, and task completion. Saying something out loud activates different brain regions than just thinking it. It externalizes the problem. Suddenly, you're not stuck in a loop, you're having a conversation with the thought. Highly intelligent people use this instinctively. They narrate what they're doing. They argue both sides of a decision with themselves. They ask themselves questions and answer them. From the outside, it looks unhinged. From the inside, it's a cognitive tool most people never learn to use. Sign 4. They zone out mid-conversation. This one gets them in trouble constantly. They'll be in the middle of a conversation, completely engaged, and then suddenly their eyes glaze over. They stop responding. They're staring at something that isn't there. People assume they're bored or rude or not listening, but what's actually happening is the opposite. Something in the conversation triggered a connection, an idea, a memory, a pattern, and their brain immediately pulled them into processing it. It's called spontaneous cognition, and brain imaging shows that the default mode network, the part of the brain associated with creative thinking, self-reflection, and insight, is unusually active in highly intelligent people. They can't always stop it. An idea walks in, and their attention follows. This is also why some of the smartest people you'll ever meet are terrible at small talk, but brilliant at deep conversations. Small talk doesn't trigger the network. Depth does. If you zone out on people you love and then feel guilty about it, you're not being rude. Your brain is just loud in a way most aren't. Sign 5. They seem emotionally too much or too little. Intelligent people have a strange relationship with emotion. Either they feel everything at maximum volume, a song can make them cry, a small injustice ruins their week, or they seem completely detached, almost cold in moments where everyone else is reacting. And both versions get the same label: weird. Research in cognitive neuroscience has shown that high IQ individuals often have heightened sensitivity in emotional processing regions. They pick up on micro-expressions, subtle shifts in tone, small contradictions. They feel the room before they understand why. But here's the paradox. That same brain, because it processes so much input, learns to regulate, to throttle, to hold back the flood. So sometimes you get explosion, and sometimes you get nothing, because the brain is protecting itself from overload. It's not that intelligent people are emotionally broken, it's that their emotional bandwidth is so wide they've had to build walls just to function. Quick note, if any of this is starting to hit uncomfortably close to home, there's a book that completely changed how I understand my own brain. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. It's not a self-help book, it's a Nobel Prize winner explaining how the brain actually makes decisions and why intelligent people think the way they think. Links in the description. I genuinely can't recommend it enough.
Sign number 6. They're uncomfortable around certainty. Number 6, and here's where it gets interesting. Highly intelligent people are deeply uncomfortable with people who are 100% sure of everything. You know the type. No doubt, no nuance, absolute confidence on topics they know nothing about. Intelligent brains recoil from that, not because they're arrogant, because they're the opposite. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect in reverse. The more you actually understand a topic, the more you see the edges of your own ignorance. You see complexity, you see exceptions, you see the places where the simple answer breaks. So when someone talks in absolutes, this is just the way it is. An intelligent person's brain lights up with discomfort. They want to add a but. They want to say, it depends. And that makes them seem wishy-washy, indecisive, or annoying. They're not. They're just seeing the full picture while everyone else is looking at a postcard. If you constantly say it's complicated and people roll their eyes at you, that's a signal you're processing more dimensions than they are. Sign number 7. This is the one I told you to stay for. The one most intelligent people never realize about themselves. They don't feel smart. In fact, most highly intelligent people walk around quietly convinced they're faking it, that everyone else has it figured out and they're barely holding on, that if anyone actually looked closely, they'd see through it. There's a name for this. It's called imposter syndrome, and study after study has found it's dramatically more common in high performers and high IQ individuals than in average ones. Why? Because a brain that sees complexity also sees its own gaps. A brain that asks good questions knows how many questions are still unanswered. A brain that notices nuance sees constantly how much it doesn't know. Meanwhile, people with average understanding feel confident because they can't see the cliff. So here's the cruel irony. The feeling that you're not smart enough, that you don't belong in the room, that everyone's going to figure out you're faking, that feeling itself might be one of the clearest signs that you actually are the intelligent one. You're not an imposter. You're just someone whose brain is honest enough to see its own limits, and that's rarer than you think. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. If you recognize yourself in 3, 4, 5 of these, stop apologizing for being weird. You are not broken. You are not antisocial. You are not lazy. You're running a brain that prioritizes depth over surface, pattern over noise, and honesty over confidence. The world rewards people who look smart, but it's built quietly by people who actually are. If this video helped you see yourself differently, even a little, subscribe. I make videos about the parts of psychology that most people don't talk about. And if you want to go deeper, I've got another video on the screen right now about the hidden habits of high IQ people that will connect directly to what you just watched. Take care of that brain of yours. It's doing more than you think.